Good morning. It's Wednesday, September 12th, and we're going to review some of the halachas of Nesias Kapayim. We have Benny Cohen over here, and I think I may have made some mistakes last time we covered this, so I'm going to go over maybe a few things.
And the question that you asked yesterday, you promised you're going to answer the question today.
Okay, so yesterday I asked a question. I asked the question that when we daven, in order for it to be considered davening with a minyan and to be able to do all those things that require a minimum of 10 people, so if you have 10 people in the room, you still cannot consider like davening with a minyan and to repeat the Shemoneh Esrei, Chazos, Hashatz, and stuff like that. You have to have a minimum of 6 people who are davening with you. So if you didn't daven and there are 9 people in the room, but they davened already with another minyan.
6 with majority, that's why this is 6. That's what they carry with number 6.
I'm going to get to it.
Okay.
So you have to have a minimum of 6 people that have not davened yet, you included.
And they're willing to daven.
That they're willing to daven, and that they haven't davened yet, that you can do those things that require the 10 people specifically to repeat the Shemoneh Esrei. Now, when we bench, there are different levels of benching. You can bench for yourself. It's a biblical commandment to bench. If you eat a kazayas, the volume of an olive, you have to bench. Exactly. Some say it's the only biblical bracha that you make. Every other bracha that we make is only from the rabbis, rabbinical.
Yeah.
Benching may be not 100% sure, not 100% agreed upon by everybody, but it's possible that it's the only biblical bracha that you make. It's possible that the bracha that we make, and we're going to make, unless Benny made it already, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Asher Bochar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'Nosan Lonu Es Torosai Baruch Atah Hashem Nosen HaTorah Birchas HaTorah. It's possible that that's also a biblical commandment.
How do we know?
You have to look it up on Google. Now, so as I said, you can bench by yourself. If you have 3 people,
it's a command that the Shinantam Levanecha, you have to learn something, Maybe from that you could say, because it's a command that we should learn.
Exactly.
So maybe that's why we have to make a bracha.
Maybe. If you have 3 people who are sitting by a table and you're going to bench, that's called zimun, like an invitation. 3 people together, it's a beautiful thing to bench together, and you start off with Rabbi Saim Revelim Bench. That's called zimun. Then there is something that's called zimun b'shem, with the name. Whose name? Hashem's name. And when we bench, instead of saying Nevarech Shechalnu Mishlo, we say Nevarech Elokeinu Shechalnu Mishlo. For that you need 10 people sitting there. Then there is a higher level. If there's 100 people,
I didn't know that.
Yes, if there's 100 people, there's something else you say. And if there's 1,000 people, you add something else. And if there is 10,000 people, there is something else. And if there's 22,000 people, there's something more. And tomorrow maybe I'll tell you all the other ones. And I'm going to learn that piece in the Gemara maybe tomorrow. But for now, let's stick with 10. If you have 10 people, then you say Hashem's name. Do all 10 have to have participated in that meal? No. How many? 7. So the question is, that I posed yesterday is, why when you eat and you have to bench, do you need 7? And by davening, you only need 6. Excuse me?
Lachash.
Lachash?
Shemoneh Esrei.
Oh, okay. So the answer is, like Benny said before, that the reason we need 6 or 7 is because you have to have a majority. So once you have a majority, we have a rule, rubai kekulo, that the majority is like all of it. So there are times when you have to have a shiur, something has to be, let's just say something has to be a foot long. If it's only 11 inches, it's a majority, we say rubai kekulo. It's as if the whole thing is there. So now the question, to make it a little bit more clear, is why is it considered a majority for 6 by davening, and why by benching you need 7?
That's the question.
Okay, so I'm not sure. You may have touched on the answer. The answer is that there is also a rule that it has to be rubai hanikar. It has to be recognizable that it's the majority. So, for example, if, hypothetically speaking, if you have to have something that's 3.5 ounces, okay, and you have a majority of it, but it's but you can't tell the difference. If I showed you right now water, and I asked you, is this 2 ounces or is this 2.5 ounces? You wouldn't know. It has to be a recognizable majority. So, if, for example, you would be in a ball game, I'm always using ball games. If you were in a ball game and there was a rule that there has to be 40,000 people at the ball game in order for something to happen, and the majority would be, let's say, 25,000. But could you tell the difference if you're sitting there, if there are 25,000 people there or
No.
21,000? You can't. So it has to be a discernible majority.
Because it's a midoraita, that's why?
No, because...
I know what you
yeah, maybe because it's midoraisa, so it has to be. Now, so yes. So in fact, you just gave me probably the answer, that because benching is because benching, in order to say zimun b'shem, to say Hashem's name, is not midoraisa. Benching is midoraisa, but to say it with the name of Hashem is not midoraisa. So that's not probably the reason. Good morning.
No, but bringing the name, really you need 10 people?
Yes, yeah. You need 10. In order to say Nevorech Elokeinu Shechalnu Mishalo, you need 10 people.
I understand, but let's say you make a bracha al netilat yadayim. You mentioning God's name. You don't have 10 people. Because
that bracha is something that you do for yourself. But when you do zimun, when you're being part of a group is only considered when you have 10, in order to say Hashem's name. Okay? And besides, when you make a bracha, see, this is why I didn't want to start early, because it's not fair to him. Good morning. There was a change in schedule. I'm sorry, Ari. There was a change in schedule. I didn't know about this because I left early yesterday. They announced that davening today would be 7:45 because of slichas. Were you here when they made? I don't think you were probably here either.
No.
So as a result of that, I started a little earlier. Okay. So all the bad stuff we spoke about, you were able to do. Thank you. When before you were here. So we got that lashon hara out of the way. Anyway, so we're discussing here that when we daven and we need 10 people, we need at least 6 who haven't davened yet. We're davening with you. You don't need all 10. You need 10 people in the room, but if 4 already prayed, 6.
Right.
You need 6. But when you bench after you eat bread, we bench, and if there are 10 people there, then there's a special part that we add, but if not everybody ate, they're just there, that's good enough, but you need 7 people who ate with you.
Okay.
So the question is, why 6 out of 10 is good in davening, but you need 7 out of 10 by benching? So that's what we're discussing.
Less leftovers.
So So as I said, that it has to be a discernible majority. Now, the obvious, the very simple answer that I give is that when you're davening, you're really davening for yourself. Okay? There are certain things that in order for the Shekhinah to come down, for the divine presence to come down, there has to be 10 people. Hashem, who lives in the heavens, also lives down here, and his presence is...
Sorry to interrupt you, but we're talking about Chazara.
Right, okay.
Chazara is for everybody.
Okay, but even when we're davening for Hashem, right?
I mean, Shemona Esrei you could say by yourself, even without the minyan, everything going to go normally.
I understand.
But the only problem we're going to have for Chazara,
okay.
then we're going to have problems.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that the reason we're davening is we're having a relationship, even though we're in a group, the relationship doesn't have to do with anything materialistic for us. You know, we're not saying a prayer when we're doing Chazor Zashat. We're not discussing the table, we're not discussing the chair, we're not discussing the food, we're not discussing...
But we said Refa'enu.
Okay, let me finish.
Refa'enu is for everybody.
Okay, let me finish my point, or I'll never finish my point.
No,
I appreciate your questions, but let me get my whole point out, and maybe it'll be a bit more clear. So when we're davening, it's something that's between God and myself, and it's prayers that we're asking and we're pleading to Hashem to give us health, whether it's Rufa'enu or wealth or whatever it is that we're asking Hashem, and there's a rule that there's certain things that you can't do, like repeating the Shemona Esrei, unless there's 10 people. But the majority rules, and if you have a majority, it's good enough. And because it's something directly between us and Hashem, it does not have to be, and I said this before you walked in, it does not have to be a Rov HaNikar. People don't have to see and know that there is a majority here. Hashem knows there's a majority there. And once there are 6 people there, the divine presence comes down, and we can say it. It doesn't affect me that you don't know that there's 10. Okay? Certainly, if you can't count, okay? If you can't count, or if you're, whatever reason, you don't understand the concept that 6 is the majority of 10. Let's assume you don't know that. Somebody, God forbid, is not good in math, and he doesn't know what the majority is. Still, it makes no difference, because Hashem knows. And as long as there are 6 people there, that's good enough for Hashem, and he brings down his presence. Okay? That's when it comes to davening. When it comes to benching, the idea is to have a camaraderie between the people. It's called zimun, invitation. Invite people.
Gentlemen.
What?
Attention, gentlemen.
Exactly. Rabbi attention. We are going to bench. Come everybody. I'm inviting you all to bench with us. And we have a relationship with each other. And because we are 10 people away together, and we're thanking Hashem for the table, and we're thanking Hashem for the food that He gave us in our mouths, and we're doing that as a group. And in order for us to qualify and be able to utilize the name of Hashem, this has to be a group that we recognize that it's a group. And it's not just that Hashem recognizes it, because it's right now here, there's a good portion of it that has to do with us and our relationship with everybody else. So that's the answer I give.
That's a good answer.
But possibly...
That's your answer?
That's my answer. So I'm soliciting maybe more answers. Maybe somebody can... I actually called my rabbi last night, and he called me, and then I asked him, because I thought he once gave me another answer. He couldn't remember. So if we come up with something else, we'll tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to correct a few things, Benny. We may have covered this, I may have covered this with Ari on a day that you were not here. Very quickly, when we do Nesiyas Kapayim, morning, Doc. When we do Nesiyas Kapayim, I said that it can only be done in Lashon Kodesh. Regular davening, you can daven in any language. People who are new to davening, they don't understand necessarily Hebrew.
Because of the core?
Excuse me?
Because of the core?
Ko
Tevaruchu Bnei Israel.
Savarchu. Okay.
Ko Tevaruchu.
Well, Nesiyas Kapayim is a very
Ko Tevaruchu, you have to say exactly what
exactly.
Exactly.
So Benny is saying that it says in the Torah, ko, like this. You should before it says those three verses, it says that gives you instructions specifically like this. You should do Nesiyas
You cannot
Kapayim.
change it to a different language.
You can't do a different language.
The priestly blessing?
The priestly blessings, right?
So it's got to be. You can't change the language.
Okay, so I'm going to read this inside because we discussed this last time. What im shliach tzibur Kohen? What if the cantor is a Kohen? Im yesham kahanim acherim? If there are other kahanim in the room, lo yisu es kapov. He should not do the priestly blessing.
I had it as a confidence that he could, do everything accordingly, and
right,
get confident down.
right. Now the Ramah, when we learn Mishnah Berurah is the Chafetz Chaim wrote that, but he's a commentary on the Shulchan Aruch, but on the Shulchan Aruch itself, in small letters, there is the Ramah. The Ramah.
Ashkenaz.
My family actually is a descendant of the Ramah, and he qualifies and sometimes argues with the Shulchan Aruch itself, and he adds over here v'lo yomer lo lalas or little yodav. If the shliach tzibur is a Kohen, the mechaber, it's called the mechaber, the author. The author writes that he should not do Nesiyas Kapayim, he should not do the priestly blessings, but he's also warning the congregation that they should not tell him to go up. Avalim omrlo, but if they tell him, hey, you also do, then tzorach lalos, then he must go, if they instruct him to go. Now I'm going to say what Benny just said, that the mechaber, the author himself, said that if he's a Kohen, he should not go. But and he says, Va'afila ein sham kohen elohu. What if he's the only Kohen in the room? And he's the shliach tzibur. Good morning, Tad.
Good morning.
Okay. Even if he's the only one, he should not do the Birchas Kahanim. Elim kain muftach lo sheyachzir tefilosoi. Unless they promise him that when you're finished doing the Nesiyas Kapayim, you can go back and do finish the davening.
Could do it then and there. He doesn't have to go.
Excuse me?
He doesn't have to go somewhere. Standing there, the davening could do the ducha.
Yeah, but then afterwards he's got to finish the Shemoneh Esrei.
He doesn't have to go anywhere else. I'm saying going up or something.
He has to go up. He has to turn around. He has to get out of his. He has to. It's called OK Raglov. He has to separate his feet from the ground, and he has to turn around. Okay. And we also talked about that a Kohen, you're not supposed to look at the Kohen, and the Kohen himself is not supposed to look at his own hands. Now, do you put your hands inside the talus or outside the talus?
Inside.
Inside the talus. So some people put their hands outside the talus, some kahanim, so that they shouldn't look at it. If it's inside...
That should be high enough, then you don't
Okay, so that's what he says. If you can do that now. What about a shul? Beis HaKnesses, shekula kahanim. There are only kahanim in the shul. Let's say im ein sham elo, if there are only 10 people there and they're all kahanim. What's the rule?
Maybe they should put one after one. And
It says kulam olim leduchen. They all go up
Because they're blessing the whole.
because they're blessing each other. Okay.
Not only each other, they could bless people that are sitting home too.
No, that doesn't count.
The blessing doesn't go to the...
No, it doesn't travel outside the room.
It doesn't travel.
No. In fact, if somebody's behind this wall, it's no good either. Now, what if there are 20 Kahanim in the room? The 20 people in the room, they're all Kahanim.
So what's the difference, 10 or 20?
The difference is that if there are 20, 10 only go up and 10 stay.
Really?
Yes. You should always try to have 10 people staying in the room. But if there are only 10, then they all go up. But if there are 11, one goes up and 10 stays.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. If you have like 40 or 50 people and there's 20 Kahanim, do all of the 20 go up?
No, I just said that. I said only 10 go up.
No, he said
But-
20 Israelim, 20 Kohanim.
But he said 20 or...
No, I said there's 50 people,
Yeah.
okay, and but 20 of them are Kahanim.
Of course
do
they
all 20
go.
go up?
Yes, of course. As long as there's 10 that remains in the room. Yes.
Oh, they have 10?
You should try to have 10 people staying in the room. But if you only have 10 to start off with, and they're all Kahanim, they all go up.
Who reads it for them? They should say themselves.
They say themselves, yeah. Okay. So I think we're going to do slichas now. Have a good day, everybody.